Well, that's not quite right. We did know what the final price was going to be when we signed the contract, but of course we had opened up the sales of HCT to those who were going to purchase earlier, so we were able to balance and work out what the difference in cost was going to be. We had to defray that now in future across all the projects that we're doing. If anybody was going to purchase who was not an original purchaser, they had to pay a slightly higher price. Look, unfortunately, the government is not a property developer that's going to simply pass on costs. We want to build these properties for the purposes of Gibraltarian families establishing themselves, and we are not happy but prepared to suffer that additional cost if necessary.
Some would say that you suffered that additional cost because of political expediency and to announce the houses before the election.
Well, some would be completely wrong if that's what they said, because that was not what we were dealing with. What we were dealing with was a project that would not have been stopped, would not have suffered the increase unless the somebodies who said that had a crystal ball and were able to predict that there was going to be a worldwide pandemic 4 months after a general election in Gibraltar. So I entirely refute that, in the same way as I refute any suggestion that the government is somehow responsible for delays in respect to this project. You've got to understand, that is a magnificent project delivered by a government for its people. It's not a flat pack piece of IKEA furniture that you can build in half an hour and you can predict how long it's going to take and you can be blamed if it doesn't take any longer. That's a lot of engineering, it's a lot of taxpayers' money delivered for a purpose, the purpose of the families that we want to see established in Gibraltar with affordable homes. And there are many who still need affordable homes in Gibraltar, haven't had them yet. We're working on the next projects that we'll deliver to ensure that the Gibraltarians who need affordable homes in Gibraltar have them. But this is not, let me take a different phrase that people will understand in translation, throwing an egg to fry. Of those who are going to receive these homes, they're receiving homes that have absolutely nothing to envy, much more expensive properties developed at the high end of the Gibraltar market.
Chief Minister, how do you think people who are waiting for Chatham Views and Bob Belisa are feeling now?
I think they'll feel very encouraged. They see the government does deliver. Yes, we're late. Again, this is not as complex as building out into the Mediterranean. We're building in the centre of town, but with the same problems that we had in the context of the pandemic hitting after we announced. Problems about moving different parts of real estate around. In Gibraltar, there's nothing more complex. The Rubik's Cube of relocations, which is the biggest headache you can have. One of the relocations involved the provision of one of the fundamentals of life, water, a utility that had to move. That delayed us. It also involved a negotiation with a third party. That's delayed us. We've decided not to move that third party and build around them because we won't be held to ransom over these issues. That happened both at Chatham and at Bob Belisa. So look, it's taken time. These are complex things to deliver. But when you deliver to the standard that we've delivered here, to the standard that we are going to deliver at Chatham and at Bob Belisa, and to the standard that we've delivered at Beachview Terraces, at Monscalpa Mews, and in the way that we've delivered, I think in the end people will realise that the GSLP Liberal government has delivered exactly as it promised, and if it hasn't delivered on time, it's been through no fault of the political government or of the technical parts of the government who have in fact pushed to deliver as soon as possible.
Chief Minister, one criticism of the GSLP Liberal government and its delivery, and that's houses for rental.
Well, if there was only one criticism of the GSLP Liberal government, I'd be very happy indeed. But as you know, both Bob Belisa and Chatham Mews involve the delivery of houses for rental, just like we built at Monscalpa Mews and as we built also at Charles Buisson House. So we've built a lot of rental. That rental that we build for pensioners delivers a lot of free rental in the wider estates, which enables us to see people who are elderly, who no longer need 3, 4, 5-bedroom properties, go into properties which are more in keeping with what they need now in their age range and for their occupational health needs, and deliver to those who need the larger properties that are already built in the estates, which we are not. And this is a very valid criticism of the previous GSD government, selling off, like they sold off the family silver, by selling off those apartments which are post-war apartments, which have huge value and which cannot be replaced other than by multiplying by 4, 5 or 6 times the cost that you alienate at the sale prices that the GSD agreed.